Okay, my friends, so we are currently editing my second book, Dying with Regrets. So in this part of the book edit, we're going to be going through a chapter and it's called It's Your Life and Not Theirs. And in this part of the book, I'm going to be talking about how we should listen to and trust our own authentic inner voice to take the action steps that deep down that we know we want to do, and to mute those limiting thinkers around us, certain people that are around us telling us that we can't go ahead and achieve our dreams, and how you can actually deal with those type of people yourself, and how you can actually start making moves forwards despite having, say, potential negativity around you. Okay, so I had now taken the first few steps on my journey towards a life of true happiness and fulfillment, and I noticed that lots of things were rapidly changing. The people I would listen to, the things that I would feed into my mind, and the daily habits I had now adopted had all significantly changed. I was training my mind to become a success sponge, which would absorb everything to help me learn, and in return, benefiting my future self. I believed I could brainwash myself to become successful, and committed myself to a future of continuous learning. On your journey, you must surround yourself with positivity, whether this is books, people, or online content, because your mind is like a factory, and the ingredients that you are putting into it will be used to make the final product, which is your life. Your surroundings have a huge impact on how you feel about yourself and how you live your life. If you know that you have negative influences around you, then it's your choice whether you want to change that or not. People are either like vacuums or like chargers. The chargers will help boost you up to your next level of life, and the vacuum sadly suck the energy and drive out of you, in return holding you back. As hard as it can be, you must either have expanded or limited association with certain individuals. Have expanded association with those who help charge and lift you up, but on the other hand, you need to have more limited association with these negative people. It may even come to a point where they are that much of an energy vampire that you really should consider disassociation with them. Sometimes you need to make the decision to make an incision and cut them out of your life. Because if they can't grow with you, then they can't go with you. It may be hard to cut people off, but you need to ask yourself the question: by spending my priceless time with these people, do I feel better or worse? And depending on your answer, this will determine the action you need to take. Because if you know they aren't contributing to your personal growth and overall well-being, but you still keep them around, then it will be like trying to carry a 10-ton weight on your back along your personal path of purpose. You have to let go in order to grow. Understand that your mind is just like a garden, and you are the gardener. Your subconscious mind either grows flowers or creates weed in your unique garden of life. And depending on the mental equivalents you plant, you'll eventually produce. Removing negative people from your life is just like removing the weeds from your garden. If left unmaintained, without even realizing, these weeds will soon take over your entire plot. Just like you can either control your mind or your mind controls you, you must take care of your patch every single day. You have to water your own plants before even thinking about watering your neighbours. And you must plant the correct seeds depending on what you want to grow. Because you can't plant apple seeds and expect an orange tree to grow. Just like you can't have a negative mindset and expect to live a positive life. Also, keep an eye out for negative people throwing rotten seeds in your soil, and always make sure you take great care of your soil, as this is the source of your positive life. There's a next bit. I'm going to skip through this bit quickly, but it just says there are 5 major things that you must do in order to keep your soil at a good quality. 1. Have a healthy diet. 2. Exercise at least 3 times a week. 3. Get enough sleep every night. 4. Reduce the amount of stress in your life. And 5. Constantly try new things. In the book, I talk about it just a little bit further, but I'm not going to go through all of that. So, carrying on. Remember to look after your garden every single day, and as a result, your garden will look after you. Stay consistent, and over time you will eventually reap the rewards. Keep in mind that the day you plant the seed is not the day you eat its fruit. You must show up and nurture what you have planted every single day, then one day see the results which you desire. People say that the grass is always greener on the other side, but the truth is that the grass is always greener wherever you choose to water it. For me, this part of my journey felt quite uncomfortable as I was evolving into a better version of myself, and I had to remember that I could not become who I wanted by remaining who I currently was. I knew that I had to take the required uncomfortable action steps to break through the barrier and reach that next level of life. Every next level of your life will determine a different version of you. And I soon learned that one of the most powerful and valuable words I was using was the word no. I realized that I had to let some people down by saying no, set my own boundaries and start focusing on myself. Because by saying no to someone else, I was in fact saying yes to myself. Remember that you cannot become who you want by remaining who you are. You have to let go of who you once were and who you currently are in order to evolve into the person you dream and desire to become. The person who, that's what I need to say. Okay. You have to let go of who you once were and who you currently are in order to evolve into the person who you dream and desire to become. This is my life and nobody else's. I can still hear my granddad telling me, always look after number one. And that is what I had to do for me and only for me. Some people won't like what I'm doing and it's none of my business to find out why. That is totally fine because this is my life and it's not for them. Someone's opinion of you doesn't have to become your reality. You must do what is best for you and never put the key to your happiness in someone else's pocket. We all love ourselves more than other people, but quite often care more about their opinions than our own. I'm going to highlight that bit there. Their opinion. I'm going to put that in italic. 1 second. Do not listen to anyone's negative opinions because other people's shitty opinions about you and what you do will never put money in your pocket or happiness in your heart. Plus, their thoughts and actions are completely out of your control. Also, don't compare your life to the life of others and do not give a damn what anyone else has to say about your life choices. If it feels right to you, then do it. If you're going to compare yourself, then make sure it's going to be constructive comparison. Comparison is often labelled as the thief of joy, and for many people it is. We scroll through highlight reels, then witness someone else's success. I need to put that there. However, instead of feeling inspired, we begin to shrink, we doubt ourselves, we feel like we are falling behind. This is destructive comparison that's built on fear, insecurity and judgment. But comparison doesn't have to be damaging. It can actually be a tool for growth when used intentionally. That's where the concept of constructive comparison comes into play. This is the practice of observing others, not to judge yourself from a place of lack or not enoughness, but to learn from their journey to positively impact your own. Instead of asking, why am I not there yet? Ask yourself, what can I learn from them? It shifts the focus from lack to learning and from jealousy to possibility. Constructive comparison always allows others to serve as mirrors for your potential rather than reminders of your shortcomings. It's not about copying someone else's path or feeling like you're behind. It's about recognizing what's possible for you and taking small, inspired steps in that direction. When you see someone living a life that excites you, let it awaken something within you and let it guide your next moves. Let it inspire action rather than increase self-doubt. The goal is never to be them, but to become more of yourself using their journey as insight. This kind of comparison builds rather than breaks. It empowers rather than discourages, and it reminds you that what you admire in others can also be developed within yourself. Conventional comparison really is the thief of joy, so don't ever try and live your life through a perceived perfect Instagram filter. Nobody really cares about the clothes you wear, the car you drive, or the home you live in, and the ones who do care aren't your people. The right kind of people just want you to be yourself. So show the world the true you, and you'll start attracting them towards you. You can't fake authenticity, and although we are all born ourselves, sadly many die someone else. Focus on creating a life that feels good on the inside, rather than one that just looks good on the outside. And whatever you do, don't use someone else's mirror to see your own reflection. So many adults are measuring their success using someone else's ruler, but realise that the wrong people will think you are shit even when you know you're at your very best. However, the right people will think you are an absolute gem even when you know you are at your very worst. So please never determine your own value based on someone else's inability to see your worth. Because if you don't know your own worth, then someone else will decide what it is, and it will always be at a reduced rate. So it's time to stop giving discount to others. Growing up, I had always been the one to go against the grain and do things completely differently to how most ordinary people did things. Of course, I have been called weird before for doing things differently, but I think in life we have to be different in order to make a difference. Because if you're not willing to risk the unusual, then you'll just have to settle for the ordinary. When you are building your dream life, it's sometimes a very lonely and scary pursuit. Some of the people around you will never understand your journey, and that's totally fine, because it's for you and it's not for them. You quite often have to do this alone and have to be willing to risk everything to become that person who you know is hidden deep down inside of you. Don't ever try to change others, because that's impossible and it's not your job. Instead, become that beacon of light that magnetizes the right kind of people towards you. You have to be the lighthouse and not the towboat. The towboat rushes out into the storm trying to rescue every single struggling ship. It pulls others along whilst expending all its energy in the process. It means well, but often ends up drained, lost, or shrinking itself. The lighthouse, however, doesn't chase. It stands strong, grounded and still. It shines its light with unwavering consistency, and in doing so, it naturally guides others to safety, not by force, but by presence. This story reminds me that I don't need to fix or carry others. I simply need to stand tall in my truth, share my light, and trust that those who are ready will find their way. The greatest impact comes not from rescuing, but from radiating. All of us are born unique, but most die copies. So when times get difficult, just remember exactly why you started and ask yourself, would my future self regret doing or not doing this, whatever this specifically is? Stepping outside the norm will always make normal people feel threatened, to the point where they will tell you 1,000,001 reasons for why you'll never be able to succeed, and for why you should stay where it's safe with them. Realise that other people's understanding isn't required for your personal progress. When you go down to the beach or the seaside and you see crabs that have been caught in a bucket, there is always one courageous crab who tries to escape. However, as soon as they get to the top and are just about to make it over the barrier to freedom, out of nowhere, they are suddenly pulled back down to the comfort zone of the bucket by the other crabs. And they now start to accept that their entire reality exists only within the walls of their box, after realising that they will never experience what life looks like beyond the barrier of their tall bucket. Now they begin to believe that freedom will never be possible for them. So they give up on their dreams of freedom and shortly stop trying to go after what it is that they truly want. Just because someone else is scared to do something, it doesn't mean that you need to accept it to be true for you. When you break the barrier of your comfort zone, it intimidates the people who are too scared to do it themselves. This is why you may notice some people say things like, you can't do that, or it isn't possible. But believe me when I say that it actually means they can't do it, and it isn't possible for them. Just because it may not be possible for them, doesn't mean that it's not possible for you. So whatever you do, don't let someone else's limited thinking limit your actions, which in return will limit your results and eventually limit your fucking life. Don't ever let someone who is either too scared to go after or who gave up on their dreams talk you out of pursuing and achieving yours. Just remember that you don't want to be normal because you know you were made for greatness. So don't ever let someone else decide, design, determine or dictate your destiny. Boom! That's the end, my friend, of that chapter. I will see you on the next one. If you want to get on the wait list, visit dyingwithregrets.ryannurse.com or send me a DM and I'll hook you up. Thank you, my friends. Goodbye.